Any day wherein we get the opportunity to talk about one of these X358 Jaguar XJs, as so many of you are, as we are as well, huge fans of, the last you could say of the traditional Jaguars, but at the same time blending so many modern advantages, and that is part of the reason why we love them so much. It's a perfect blend, you could argue, of retro sensibilities, classic styling, with modern efficiency, fuel economy, and certainly levels of kit. If though you have already been looking for one of these, and even its predecessor, the X350 shape prior to this facelift, you will probably have noticed that the vast majority of these are either rocketing up in price or, and in some cases still, have extremely high mileage. It's not uncommon at all to see these cars with 140 plus thousand miles still going strong and still fetching good prices. In the case of this car though, well, it is a perfect combination of a vehicle which you could put aside as a collector's piece or a long-term investment, given how in demand these are most definitely going to be moving forward, or you could certainly use it as an immediate daily driver. It's finished in one of the best colour combinations of botanical green with burr walnut veneers and of course that heated barley leather. It is an absolutely gorgeous vehicle, easily one of Jaguar's most magnificent looking designs, and certainly they still look every bit as good today, arguably even more so than when this car was new in 2007. Now, we actually supplied this exact car to a previous enthusiast owner a number of years ago, and now he's moved on to a different Jaguar and we have it as part of our prestige collection once again. Clearly that individual, as well as its previous keepers and ourselves, have certainly taken very good care of this car, given that it's not only a 64,000 mile example, which is shockingly low for one of these days, but it also has that full service history behind it. In fact, it was most recently serviced in October of 2024. It had a fresh 12-month MOT as well, with no advisories whatsoever to worry about, including, in that service, a suspension overhaul, new brake pads as well. It's the definition of ready to go. And speaking of being a vehicle which is ready to go, its price and road tax combination definitely is, because on the one hand, despite having less than half the mileage of many on the market, both private and otherwise, it is still under £8,000. It is most definitely not going to stick around for very long at that price point, but even with that, it still has the option of low deposit finance if you did want to make use of it. And of course, speaking to road tax, and we'll get to its efficiency and economy in just a second as well, it's not uncommon for vehicles in this kind of time period, particularly diesels or powerful luxury vehicles, both of which of course this is, being the 2.7 TD, it's a 200 horsepower car with 320 foot-pounds of pulling power. So it is a powerful flagship luxury car, and it's a diesel, and yet it is around 300, in fact more than £300 a year cheaper than many of its peers at £430 a year, compared to, in some cases, as high as £760 for some luxury cars and diesels from that kind of time period. Being a Jaguar, there are certain things which you would of course expect from the car, and others which are a very pleasant surprise. In the first case there, we need to talk about its spec, as well as being legitimately one of the most comfortable cars you will ever experience, either as a passenger, certainly as the driver, thanks to their fantastic air suspension, acres of headroom, huge boot space, fantastic of course for legroom, front and rear. That is, at the end of the day, the whole purpose of these flagship luxury cars, and at the same time it still has its original owner's book pack and its 2 keys of course intact, those lovely deep pile lambswool carpets, climate control, cruise control, sat-nav, the list goes on, of course electric windows front and rear, all those kind of small modern updates which a classic version either wouldn't have, or they certainly wouldn't be in full working order, more often than not, in the case of a classic. At the same time though, speaking to those classic sensibilities, we've said it before and it definitely bears saying again, one of the most satisfying things about these XJs in particular, the X350 and here the facelifted X358, is how good everything feels to use. The soft closing doors, the satisfying clunk of the door handle, the chunky steering wheel, even the weight of the steering, everything feels exactly right on these cars. They have a feel of quality, but as we said, with those modern advantages such as that center-mounted touchscreen, sat-nav, climate control, etc., all in that one package. And speaking finally to its efficiency, that is of course the pleasant surprise. Up to 36 miles to the gallon on average, and of course on the motorway, which is really where these cars do come into their own, as high as 45 miles to the gallon. So a huge advantage over what you would typically expect from a sovereign XJ such as this one is. It's a perfect colour combination, a superb history, fantastic mileage, mileage, especially these days, and all for a great price. So as we said, this car is not going to stick around for very long, and we would absolutely recommend getting in touch sooner than later about it. So of course you can do so via the email address shown right here on screen, or naturally give us a call on 01749 871 155 or via our mobile number of 07482 267 439.